Model Making Guru is sponsored by emodels.co.uk. Make something awesome. Hey everyone, it's Foxx from modelmaking.guru here. Hello and welcome to another exciting instalment of my Partwork build of the DeAgostini 1/8 scale Ford GT40. We can't call it or they can't call it the GT40 because Ford don't own the name of that anymore, so they can't license it to DeAgostini, so it's just the Ford GT. But we know, you and I, we both know it is the Ford GT40, the legendary Ford GT40. Everybody knows this car. I'm not into cars, but even I know this car, and it's an awesome car, and it's a gorgeous thing, and even I can appreciate the amazingness of this vehicle without my knowledge of cars. Even though I did detailing for like 5 or 6 years, I still had no interest in cars. But you can't deny the legendary status of this. I am waffling already. We're not even 2 minutes in. Let's crack on. So we're up to issue 13. Now, this is going to be a long video because I've actually got 5 packs of built-ups. That's 25 issues, and I've got to get through them all. Now, not all of them have got lots of things to do, but there's a lot of issues. So rather than do lots of little videos, I'm just going to blam through them. I'll do the little time-lapsey bits for the building, and then we'll do some talking between each pack so we can see what each pack involves and where we've got with it. So I will be cracking on. But before we do that, I do need to make something very clear. First and foremost, I do have a sense of moral obligation, at least in the foldy parts of my brain, the soft, squishy, foldy parts. There's not many of them. It's quite a small brain, let's be honest, but it does think about some things. And it is my obligation, my self-imposed obligation, to make you aware. I'm talking rubbish. To make you aware that well, you're aware I'm talking rubbish. To make you aware. Oh, do you know? I need. Hang on. Where's my coffee? Coffee. Oh. It's my obligation to make you aware that I am in a weird mood today. That DeAgostini Opera. I'll start in a minute. I really can't be trusted on the camera. Fox, shut up. DeAgostini are sending me this Partwork free of charge, gratis, at no expense to me. Big massive thank you to them. They are not paying me for these videos. Can't even get my words out now. They are not paying me for these videos, and they have no input into the creative process. Everything I say is my own personal opinion, but they are sending me this free of charge, so big thank you to them. If you want to pick this up yourself, of course, it's a wonderful Partwork. It is worth it, whether you're just into cars, whether you like big 1/8 scale cars, or if you specifically have a boner for the GT40. I'd really strongly recommend it. It's going to be awesome when it's finished. So check it out. There's a link in the description below the video where you can pick it up for yourself. Now, we're going to be cracking on from issue 13. The first pack is 5 issues, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I can do maths, yes. I'm not sure what we need to do in these bits. I will probably move the camera around as I film, depending if we're doing big bits and small bits, and I'll put my floaty squishy mat out. I will be using various things throughout the build, like my big squishy Partwork mat or my screwdriver set, which is over here, and you'll see me using other bits and bobs. They're all available in my Amazon store, or the Partwork mat you can get from the company that makes them. There's links again in the description below the video. And don't forget, of course, please remember to like and subscribe, and if you want to help support this channel, go to patreon.com/modelmakingguru to become a patron, or press the join button under any of my videos to become a channel member, and you can keep this channel alive. So without further ado, don't know what that was, we'll crack on with issues 13 to 17. Let's go to the super duper time-lapse speed up nonsense with funky music that I'll find from somewhere. Back in a moment. Ooh, hold that thought. I forgot to show you where we're up to. Spoon. Yes, if you've not watched the last 2 videos, the first 2 videos, we have so far built the seating, or at least most of the seating. We have built one door, the driver's side, passenger side. I'm not sure which side the wheel's on now. One of the doors, as you can see. We've built the hood, or at least a big chunk of the hood. It's loosely taped in place for now, just temporarily. Look at that. Oh, yes. We have built an wheel, or at least a chunk of the wheel, a chunk of the an wheel. We've yet to build the rest of that door, and we've started on some engine bits and bobs and some wire. I think that's the start of the engine block and the carburetor, I think, possibly. I don't know. I don't know anything about engines. Woohoo, I'm an idiot. So that's where we're up to so far. I'm not sure where we're starting, but I'm sure we're starting somewhere awesome. So I shall take all these away and we'll crack on. Back in a minute. And there we go, that's issues 13 to 17 all done. Not a lot of work involved in that pack, but then that's how these Partworks go. Some packs are chock full of things to do, and some there's not that much to do. But, you know, it goes over the course of many, many months, so it's all about the fun. So we've got most of that door done, not completely, and we've started on the floor panel, the centre part of the floor panel. Be much more for both of these to come. So that is that pack done. The next pack, of course, is issue 18 to 22, so another pack of 5. So I'll get everything ready and we'll crack on with that. So there we are, that's issues 18 to 22. Again, not a lot to do, a bit more fiddly than last time, and a bit more involved, but nothing too much. We've installed the harnesses onto the seats and onto the firewall at the back, and it's this wonderful sort of seatbelt looking like material. It's not actually, you know, that kind of material, but it looks, it's got that texture. You probably can't see it on camera, but it's got that kind of seatbelt texture to it, which is really nice, and the vinyl printed sort of label on there. We've also installed some bits and bobs onto the firewall and the fire extinguisher and these trim pieces with some wires. Now here's a prime example of what I was talking about. Sometimes with a magazine, with an issue, you get not a lot to do. And in the case of issue number 20, there's 2 steps. Here's the firewall. Put the firewall away safe for the next future stage. That's it. There was absolutely nothing to do in that issue whatsoever. Nothing, not a thing, just there you go. It's a piece. And next issue. So you do get that sometimes. With any Partwork, you'll have a few issues where it pads it out a bit because they've got to fill, you know, 100, 110, 120 issues out with information. They've got to pad the whole build out a little bit. So don't be surprised if you get that. And in this case, yeah, we had that with the Firewall, but that's fine. One thing I did get, you do get in issue 21, I think, or in the issue, no, 22. Twissue, that's not a real word. You get the clear piece for the Firewall and it says put it in, and then that's it. It doesn't tell you to screw it in. I'm sure they could have included a couple of screws in that issue just to, you know, screw that in place, but maybe there's something that goes on top. I'm not sure yet. So yeah, you keep that clean and keep it safe. It does go around a specific way. There is an ever so slight sort of camber to it, a curve to it, very, very minor. You won't even notice it, but if you try and put it in the wrong way, it'll just kind of bend up a little bit and won't really sit flush. So just try it both ways. It will sit in flush. So there you go. That's 18 to 22. I'll go and get the next lot ready and we'll do issues 23, 24, 25, 26 and 27. Back in a minute. Okay, that's 23, 24, 25, 26 and 27 done. And holy crikey, what absolute ball ache putting these chairs was in. Oh, getting these seats in, it took me about, I'd say, 45 minutes of fettling, swearing, pushing, taking them out, putting them in again, Here's the problem. You might not have this problem, it might just be me, but here's the problem I had. There are, if I get my little, I'm going to something to point with. There are 4 underneath the seats here. There are 4 pegs, 4 tubes that sit down, and they line up with these 4 screw holes here. It's 4 screw, and you put the chair in place, you put the screw in and screw it down, and the screw has to go into the little plastic tube, you know, that housing for the screw. The problem you've got is that because this is based on slightly wibbly wobbly flexible parts, they don't quite guarantee it's going to line up. When you put it all in place, you've got to get this bit under here to sit underneath. There's little teeth to go under the side. You've got to get this to line up. You're going to have to manhandle it this way and that way to get it to line. Once you get one lined up, then you have to manhandle it to get this one to line up. And then when you've got these 2 in and screwed down, you're going to have to really, I mean, put a lot of effort into it, really push this that way and push it that. And I was really like manhandling these seats upside down to get these to line up. The difficulty you've got is that it's all black, so when you were trying to line up this hole here with the plastic rod that the screw goes into on the bottom of the chair, you can't see it because it's all black. So what I had to do was, on the underneath of the chair, turn it upside down, put some white paint on the screw rods, on the tubes that the screw goes into, put some white paint on there so that when I put the seat in place I can actually see when the two holes are like lining up like that, because you can't see if they're all black. So I put white on this one and I can just about see then, and once I'm there I can kind of get myself manhandling it, and I was doing a lot of pushing, get the screw in and screw it in place. The other thing I did find, you may not have this problem either, but I found that the screws that come with this are a little bit too short because of all the manhandling you've got to do. They're a little bit too short to make it practical. If it all lined up perfectly, they'd be absolutely fine. But what I had to do was actually go into my Dodge Charger bits box and get 4, I think they were FM screws, possibly. They're exactly the same diameter, they're just ever so slightly longer. And that way I could get the screw in and it would bite into the plastic bit, into the underside of the chair, and then grab it a bit more. And it would kind of be easier to get the screws in. The original screws will fit, it's just you've got to hold it all in place while you're doing that. And if I could do it with a longer screw, it was a lot easier. So you may have no problems at all. It may just be my seat unit was a bit maybe not the quite right shape. But if you have any problems, it's just a lot of manhandling back and forth and pushing and swearing. And try painting the bits on the underside of the chair so you can see them. I had a torch out and everything. I had my big Maglite torch. And in the middle of all that, I had a shopping delivery as well from my local co-op. So it's like, oh! So it was very stressful, but I got there in the end. What made it even worse was, after about 25 minutes, I managed to get them all to line up. And then one of the seat belts was trapped underneath the seat, so I had to take it all out again. Yeah. Now, I first noticed the problem because I put the first screw in, and then when I tried to put the second screw in, it just wasn't biting. So that just means you've got the 2 holes where the screw go in and not lined up. It's just going into dead space. So you might have fun with that. Hopefully you won't. Hopefully it's just me, but yeah. Anyway, let's crack on with the next 5 issues, which is 28. What we're on? Issues number 28 to 30. 29, 30, 31, 32. I can't do math. I can't do numbers. 28 to 32. I think, yes, 28 to 30. I need to go and have a big cup of coffee and a sit down after that, and we'll get on to 28 to 32. And I nearly snapped the gear stick several times doing all that manhandling as well. I know. I'm going home now. And there we go, issues 28 to 32, all done. I'll cover them off in a second. Just forgot to mention earlier on, there are, you may have noticed in the fast forward bit, a couple of places where I've used a little tiny touch of CA glue, or cyanoacrylate glue, super glue to everybody else, just to bond some things in place. This plate here, the same as this one, they're held in place by a screw on the other side. No biggie, it's just that the hole that the screw goes into on the underside of this plate was a little bit too big, and the screw will just push all the way through with very little effort. So I screwed it in place and put a touch of CA glue on the screw to lock it in place. It's not going to come out. And also on these tubes here at the back, these pipes that go into the silver cylinders, they're supposed to sit in the silver cylinder with a friction fit, but it's a little bit loose. They just pop straight out again, and they are quite bendy, so they just wouldn't stay in place. So all I did was put a tiny touch of CA glue on the inside of the tube and just put the pipe in. And there you go, they're in permanently now. They're not going to come out ever, which is nice. So issues 28 to 32, nice and straightforward. Got the dashboard installed, we've got steering installed and the roll cage. A little bit of electrics with the speaker, I know. Didn't panic too much, it was fairly simple. We've installed the pedal system. I can't really get to them, but you've got an accelerator pedal and a brake pedal, which actually, well, I think one of them's actually a clutch. Well, there's 4 pedals. I don't know how you have 4 pedals, but 2 of them, you might hear this. They have a switch behind them, and that'll control some of the brake lights and other things. Possibly some sounds as well. And we've installed the steering rack. I don't know if this is a rack and pinion system. I'd like to think it was, because then I can sound really smart, but I don't even know what a rack and pinion system is. I'll assume this is a rack and pinion system. A couple of things to watch for. Very simple, but a couple of things to watch for. You may have seen in the fast forward, the steering rod that comes down from the wheel, you have a cog that goes on the end that sits into this little track here. You have to, it says to use a lot of pressure to get the cog on, but it's actually a really horribly tight fit. I was hitting it with a little hammer, or I was hitting it with the backside of my pliers. I would recommend getting a metal file and just filing the end of the steering rod where it goes into the cog a little bit, just to get the paint off, because the paint that's on there will gunk up the connection anyway. It's a really, really tight fit. The tolerance is tiny. So if it's a real tight fit and you can't get it to go on, just give it a little knock with something heavy like a hammer or a pair of pliers. But if you want to, just file a bit of the paint off and just file that metal surface a little bit. I also scraped the inside of the cog with a blade just to get some of the paint off. And it still didn't go all the way down. The photograph shows the cog right close to the end of the steering rack, but it doesn't matter. I knew it didn't actually matter because I've seen this built before. I've seen Chris over at Gross Models build this. As long as you've got a little tiny gap, that'll be fine. So yeah, just give it a good knock with a hammer or something. But I do recommend just a tiny bit of filing on it, just to get at least the black paint off, just to make your life a little easier. And then when it goes in, you'll be wondering why the cog's sitting up here somewhere. It looks like you put it in and the cog's like here somewhere. It's like, that's nowhere near. It sits up here. It's because you have to push it into that little hole in the tab here. You have to push it down. It doesn't say that in the instructions, but you have to push that in so it sits inside that bit of plastic there, and then it pushes it down. Also, when you do that, before you all screw it in place and lock it down, just make sure you have it as best you can, so that when the wheel is in the middle, so straight like that, when the wheel is actually in the neutral position, it's about in the middle of the rack. Otherwise, when your wheel's in this neutral position, your wheels will be turned. So just, I mean, there's no way to know if that's actually in the neutral position. I'm guessing it is, because full turn left and right goes to the end, so it's probably around about the right place. But other than that, it was fairly straightforward, fairly simple, nice bit of building, wiring nice and simple, nothing too complicated just yet. But yeah, other than that, fairly straightforward. So we'll put that to one side. We'll crack on now with the final pack that I've got, which is issues 33 to 37. So let's go and get that done, and we'll crack on. And there we have it. That's issues 33 to 37, all done. Now, you know me, I'm allergic to electrical nonsense, but look, I did wiring and everything. Oh, I know. I didn't break into a sweat and I didn't burn the house down. I know, miracles. So we've installed the speaker, we've installed the little tiny motherboard and all the wire, well, not all the wires, but all the wires we've got. It wasn't that hard. Dead easy. It's just connecting wires in and routing them. However, do be aware, there's not necessarily a misprint, but there's something missing in that last magazine. It tells you to get cable number 7 and thread it through. And it comes out from here, from the board, down under these ribs and sticks out there. However, when I first saw this, I misunderstood and I was trying to thread it through here. I thought, oh, it's got to go over here, but it's not long enough. So I thought, oh, that's not long enough. Because I looked at the last photograph and it showed a cable sticking out here. So I thought, well, 7's not long enough. It can't be 7 then, can it? So I looked at the instructions again and then I realised it was saying to thread 7 through here. But then I thought, well, hang on, what's this cable on this side? There was definitely a cable coming along and through this little run here and under there. So I followed the cable in the photograph and it's cable 6. Now, it doesn't say anywhere in the instructions to get cable 6 and route it through there, but it shows it in the photograph. So that's what I've done. So it's easy to trip up if you think 7's going to go the wrong way. It's supposed to go down that side, not this side, but this apparently needs to go over there. Now I can obviously, if it's not the case, I can take it out later. It's just running it under the little loops. So, but yeah, be aware of that. It doesn't say anything about this cable, but it does show it at the end under there, and it's worth putting it under there just to tidy it out of the way. So that's done. We've got a battery box and a little tiny motherboard with all the connections, speaker put in. We've got a power switch here, which sits just next to the gear shifter, so you can turn it on. And that's where we've got the cockpit is now looking really, really awesome and rather mint. I know it looks terrible on a webcam, but there you go. And we've got the steering linkage all in. The last issue, 37, is just this piece of metal for the floor. You don't do anything with that, so put that to one side. That'll be in the next issue, I think. Now, also, I have to point out, I don't know if everyone will get this. Do keep in mind, of course, that I'm being provided this Partwork free of charge by DeAgostini. So I'll probably get the normal gifts that normal subscribers will get. I don't think I'll get the premium gifts, but I get the normal gifts. And in this pack, I got my little 1/43rd GT40. It's a Ford Mark II, number 2, the winner of Le Mans 1966. And it looks really cool. I don't know if I can get this bit off. Does this cover come off? I'm not going to try and take it. Oh, it's taped in. I'm not going to take it off. It's a lovely little die-cast car, 1/43rd scale. It looks really sweet. And I think we get a couple of these. We get a few of these as it goes on. It's got lovely, lovely detail on it. There's a blue wall. It's got a blue wall tyre, not a white wall tyre. There's a blue line around the end of the tyres. And that looks fantastic. And it's in this nice little presentation box with the DeAgostini logo on the back. So we got that little freebie. So thank you very much for that, DeAgostini guys. That'll go on my shelf. Very nice. So I think we get some more of those. But that is all the packs. We're up to date. So we've got some wiring down here that's all scruffy messy. This gets to the point now where I have to try and find somewhere to put this in a box. And yeah, so I might have to cable tie some of these for tidiness. We've got the cockpit all done. We're cracking on. I think next time when we come back in the next packs, we'll be starting with the floor and stuff like that. So I think we'll start working on the superstructure now and the steering and the chassis and stuff. That'd be cool. But that's going to do us. So massive thank you for watching. Again, a big thank you to the guys at DeAgostini for making this possible. Like I said, they're sending this to me free of charge. So big hugs and thank you to them. Don't forget, of course, if you want to support this channel, you can do. You can go to patreon.com/modelmakingguru and become a patron. Or you can press join underneath any of the content on my channel to become a channel member. Either way, you're helping keep the channel alive. You're supporting it. You also get access to the live 24/7 Zoom hangout exclusively for patron channel chat. Words, hang on, coffee. Aww. Channel patrons and members. There's links in the description underneath the video to explain all that to you. So do consider supporting the channel. Other than that, make sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. I will be back soon. I've got lots of Iron Man to catch up with. We've got the last few packs of Iron Man to do. And I will have in the next week or so some more Dodge stuff. And I will have, in the next few weeks, a new Partwork. Stay tuned for that. A new Partwork. So stay tuned, but I'll be in the next few days. I'll be filming, I think, some Iron Man. I need to get that done. And then we'll be finishing off that and finishing off the Dodge. So stay tuned. I will be back soon, but until then, take care of yourselves. Go make something awesome. Go be awesome. And until next time, adios, amigos. I don't know why I sang. Why did I sing that?